Alright, welcome back everyone. I'm the Depressed CR, and this is the final thoughts on Touhou Soccer 2. Like I said, overall, I like this game. When I played Final Fantasy X, I actually kind of enjoyed Blitzball, but I did find it way too easy. I mean, it's one of those games where you just jet shot 2 with Titus and you win. But it was kind of an interesting premise, or is premise the right word? Anyway, it was an interesting game. Touhou Soccer 2 it doesn't go off of. I usually compare it to Blitzball simply because that's a more recent game. This game's actually based off of another soccer game called I think it's like Tsubasa Saga something, like Tsubasa something or rather. It's named after a manga or an anime that was based around soccer. It's kind of like Ice Shield 21 was based off soccer, and the Prince of Tennis was based off tennis. Tsubasa whatever was based off soccer. I don't know if the game itself pretty much we're essentially using the same engine. I don't know if the original game had a lot of like cutscenes and stuff like that for the special shots. And there were some variations done on Touhou, like the Danmaku command and stuff like that, and certain combination plays and stuff like that. I don't remember all the changes, but since no one's probably played the original game, it's doubtful anyone really cares. But overall, the game is rather fun. Like I said, I generally like just playing the truffle mode here. The main scenario and sub scenario, I've kind of mentioned this before. The main scenario is very scripted. Like you'll generally go through a lot of matches that are just fine, but imagine travel mode where you don't get to buy items. In fact, you don't get any items at all. You don't get to pick which players you get, and you just go through a storyline, it's kind of neat. It kind of shows off a lot of the characters, but a lot of them you don't get to ever mess with, like Amelia, Flandra, stuff like them. You generally don't get those characters, and overall, it's alright. But the difficulty curve is insane. In travel mode, you notice that it gets a little harder. It goes in 5 match increments, where the 5th match is always against Vivette. And it kind of goes up in increments, like it starts out really easy, getting a little harder, and then once you hit the Vivette match, you do the special requirement, and then based on what you do, you go on a different path. But no matter what path you go on, it always kind of resets back to like an early difficulty and kind of builds up again, and then it does that again and again until you reach the final part where you're just dealing with full teams again. So, but in this one, it's like, okay, you start with an easy match, second one was pretty easy, third one, you start fighting, it's like one opponent, like one named character, then you go up against, Alice, sorry for spoilers, go up against Alice, and then for the final, because it goes in cups, instead of going into like little, it goes in, like cups tournaments, and at for the final match of the first tournament, though, is you go up against Marissa, Mima, and Yuuka. Mima as a goalie, and Yuuka and Marissa on offense. And you only at that point in the game, you only have China as your goalie, Reimu on your offense, Rumia, and Alice. And I think one other character. I think you do get Lyrica, I think. But for the most part, all you have is one character that can score goals. The problem with that match, though, is it's heavily scripted. As in, as I mentioned, Mima has a chance to negate, as a goalie, has a chance to completely negate spell cards, which means she can stop any there's a 10% chance that if anyone uses a special shot, she will stop it automatically. But in the story mode, the main scenario, it's scripted, that it's 100%. It's 100% for all special shots except for one shot, which is a shot that Reimu learns during the match. So you have to trigger the event, and the only way to get her to learn that move is you have to trigger it through 2 volley shots, which means you have to purposely give the ball up to Mima twice, for the most part, before you get the chance to get ability to actually score a goal against her. Furthermore, it's a very expensive shot. It's actually a Fantasy Seal Blink, which is 320 guts per shot, and it can only be done with an airball. So you're trying to get this position, to get this airball, to score Fantasy Seal Blink, which for the most part will always score. I think it only got stopped once when I played it through. But all this while you're dealing with Marissa as well, constantly scoring goals. It's also scripted that Marissa doesn't really suffer a decay penalty on her Master Spark, even though it's supposed to have a really high decay. So she'll shoot it from half court, or half field, and immediately score goals. And that's kind of the frustration that starts with main scenario. And that's why I didn't do the playthrough. If you want to see a playthrough of the main scenario, the Cole777 has done a playthrough of it, and he managed to survive through it. Once you get past the Marissa match, though, it gets a little bit more bearable, I guess you can say. It's still kind of scripted, but not so bad. But that Marissa match, you're pretty much going to be stuck either constantly losing or leveling up, and then eventually getting through. But I do suggest doing the main scenario at least once, just for the story. It's kind of amusing. The sub-scenarios are pretty amusing as well. Unfortunately, they also suffer from the scripted scenario, or scripted things. Mainly the issue with sub-scenarios is not really the scripted part, but the fact that you don't get to pick your team members. So some of the matches are just... it's really unfair that you're just stuck with nothing but Kadamas and one character. Because after you use that one character, you're practically screwed, and that's kind of the situation for sub-scenarios. But they're still kind of fun. I've done about half of them. I haven't really bothered with the rest of them because it gets harder and harder, and it's really kind of just a test of patience to do them. The only reason you do sub-scenarios is just to unlock the Footsteps of Spring item that we got in the beginning of travel mode, which is here, and just to unlock moves, which I already have all of them unlocked except for one move. So that's why I kind of just prefer travel mode. Travel mode provides a lot of the RPG aspects of being able to pick your characters, your style, your equipment, and that's the best part. The only issue with travel mode is the final match, because the final match is ridiculously impossible unless you have a certain setup. Which is why I kind of did this PC98 challenge, simply because I was like, well... I mean, I could start with any character I want, any set of characters I want. I could start with the weakest characters, and I'll still do alright, simply because I'll just buy the best characters when they pop up. And doing the PC98 thing, where I said, okay, I'm just going to take PC98 characters, it kind of forces me to adapt and stuff. Be like, okay, I can only get certain characters, and if I don't get those characters, I'm stuck with Kadamas. And that's kind of how it was. I mean, you notice I was very offensive heavy in the beginning, just to try to outscore them, because I had no defense. I had nothing but Kadamas in the back row and a nameless goalie. But like I said many times throughout the gameplay, I really enjoyed it. I got to use characters I've never used before. I have never used Yumimi before. I've played against Yumimi before. I've never used Chiori. I've never used Maya and Yuki at the same time. I've always found them through travel mode, but I've never had them together. Oddly enough, I didn't get Kana as a random. In most of my playthroughs of travel mode, about 40% of the time, I always get Kana as like a random, recruit. But we didn't get her this time. The only thing I kind of did that skewed things in my favor was I picked Shinki as Lady Shinki as my captain, who's practically the strongest of all the PC98 characters. The other way I could have skewed it in my favor would have been taking Mima, but I've already done a playthrough with Mima as my start. So, it was fun. I got to mess with characters I never messed with. I used Genji for the first time ever. Well, besides the sub-scenario where you use them. But yeah, it was fun. It was kind of disappointing that I didn't get Mima through the playthrough. I think Mima popped up once, but I didn't have enough money to buy her, which is kind of a shame. Because if I had Mima, I would have at least attempted the final match. Because Twilight Spark is strong enough to get past. Letty. But unfortunately, that didn't happen. In fact, we had that Kadama as our hole in our defense the entire time. But it's kind of interesting, kind of see how missing one character can really affect the match. I mean, that hole in my defense, they took advantage of it often. Now, they didn't do it on purpose. I mean, the AI is not that smart in this game. Which I guess I'll go ahead and go on to. The AI cheats, of course. It uses infinite guts. But the AI is very simple. You notice that all it really does is go left and right. And moves towards whoever the ball carrier is. They never do anything fancy like I do, where I'll lead them away and then pass. Or at least not on purpose. They do different formations though. Each team did have a different formation. Around I guess halfway through these playthroughs, I started actually marking the positions of the opposing team. I didn't know if they're actually. I couldn't really give the details like main forward or winger forward, but I got to see that they were doing different formations. Some of them, like I noticed that some teams had 5 defensive players, which probably meant that they were using a defensive formation, and then others that had a lot of midfield formations, which means they probably were using either diamond or like 4-3-3 or whatever. Um, but yeah, they do some various formations. They do take advantage of team commands. Though you'd never really see them used. I only used one team in command, and that was wing attack, just for the +10 dribble. But other than that, that's about it. Like I said, I like travel mode. I do suggest that if you do travel mode, you do it you do it, using the best characters that you can get, and then beat the game, and then just leave it at that. I know supposedly there's a way to like make it so you can carry your team through travel mode again. Like after you beat the game, you go through it again and again, but it doesn't seem to work. Other than that, let's go ahead and go to the travel mode. No, but I guess and that's about it. This was Touhou Soccer 2, the PC98 playthrough. I did what I wanted. That final match with the other PC98 team was pretty intense. It did really show the weakness of our team. I mean, we had powerful shots, but it still was. We had trouble against Genji of all things. I mean, really, Genji has no special saves, but has high stats. But yeah, that's about it. Like I said, I think the game's pretty fun. It can be frustrating, as you probably noticed. I got really frustrated when I kept hitting the goalpost. You also noticed I was getting frustrated even though I was 7 points in the lead. Simply because I'm at the point where I've played this game so much, where my stipulation for winning is actually getting 10 goals at least. And my record's been 16 to 17 goals in one match. So, like I said, I always, even though I was using a handicap, just using PC98 characters, I still forced myself to meet the requirement of, just try to score 10 goals. And I kind of met that multiple times, even scored above it a few times. So it kind of showed the potential that the PC98 team had. Unfortunately, it's not, due to the setup of the final match, it's just not possible for me to win with it. So unless I get any requests to do another travel mode, I will go ahead and call this quits for Touhou Soccer 2. I will say if there is any request to do Touhou Soccer 2 again on travel mode or something like that, that you have to, the stipulation is you have to give me a requirement. I will not just play through it normally. I've played it through it normally enough times that I get bored with it, because it's very easy to get to kind of fall into a routine. Even if I pick the worst characters to start with, like I said, I can always just buy whoever pops up that's better. So it's even if you make a theme-based team, you pick up, I don't know, who do we have here? We pick up Rumia, Mistia, and then just for fun, get Tiwi, so we can get extra money. And then you'll be like, okay, that's an interesting start. I'll be using combination shots with Rumia and Misty to score goals. And then all of a sudden you're like, okay, working through it, and you suddenly see Marissa pop up. And you're like, oh, I got enough money, so I'll buy Marissa. And then the next thing you know, their team captain's completely been replaced by Marissa, and you're just going to be going through the game as practically with no different than having Marissa as your captain. And that's kind of the situation with the game in travel mode. That's why I said I put that stipulation on myself, that I can only buy PC98 characters. So that way, even if I did start with a handicap, I can't just, completely negate it by picking up Remilia and Flandra. So yeah. So if you do want me to do another travel mode, you have to just kind of give me a stipulation for it. You have to tell me, okay, you can only use maybe characters from Touhou 6 or something like that. But be aware, it also has to be a stipulation that I can actually make a full team out of. So if you just want to give me a list of characters that I can use, and just use only them, that can work. And that can be kind of interesting, simply because that will kind of limit me on who I can recruit and rely on the number generator to get the shops to provide what I need. But other than that, yeah, that'll be it. I don't think I'll be getting requests for this. There's not very many people that view this. I do hope that eventually some Touhou fans do come to my channel and kind of notice this game. But for those of you that just came for Conquest Elysium 3 and gave this game a chance, I thank you. Since none of my audience right now are Touhou fans, they probably don't understand any of these characters. I will go ahead and add I'll probably add a link to the comments that'll take you to the Touhou wiki site for Touhou Soccer 2. If you're really that concerned about the Touhou setting and want to look up more stuff about it, feel free. Other than that, I'm going to call it quits. I'm kind of glad I got this done. Just to kind of explain why I did Touhou Soccer 2. It's kind of just one of the playthroughs I really wanted to do. Like, before I was a Let's Player, and I was just like, I always wanted the Let's Play. I wanted this game to be my first game to start with, which it was. I did start with this first, I just didn't finish it first. I kind of got nudged into I kind of got the guts to do it once I saw the Cole777 doing a playthrough of story mode of Touhou Soccer 2, which I kind of gave him some advice because I've played this game so much, and he was playing blind. So he also helped me kind of get fraps set up and all that stuff, and then the rest I've been just kind of winging it. And as you guess, I'm not very professional, and I'm just kind of learning as I go and trying to make it work. But yeah, so that's kind of my start of how I got started as a YouTube Let's Player. Not really a good one, but I'm a YouTube Let's Player. But that's about it. This is the end of Touhou Soccer 2 until I get more requests. I am not going to do the final match unless I get a lot of requests for it. If I do get enough requests to do the final match, I will use one of my other saves that I've beaten it with and try doing it with that way. And other than that, that'll be it. I'm the Prestige, and this is Touhou Soccer 2. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys later.